everybody, this is Gary from Constricted and Addicted. Today we are going to do another episode of Everything Reptile, and today's guest is Steve from Steves Snaketuary. I have checked out his content. He's got a great Instagram. He's got a great YouTube. If you get a chance, check it out. And here we go. Steve, man, thank you for being on Everything Reptile today. And tell us a little bit about Steves Snaketuary.
Man, Steves Snaketuary is about eliminating fear through education and bringing peace through rescue. What we do is we rescue snakes at homes and businesses, and we do educational presentations. And we just want to get the word out, man. We do birthday parties. We're here for first responders. We're here for schools, homeschool groups, anything to get the word out and let everybody know how beautiful and beneficial snakes can be, and get everybody over those fears, man. That's
beautiful. Getting people over their fears and educating people is like one of the it's of the utmost importance for me and reptiles in general. Now, when you go into somebody's house and they say, "Hey man, I've got a snake," what do you do with that snake once you've located it? I mean, what's your thought process? What do you go through to the end process? If you've got the snake, now what do you do with it?
Well, first of all, man, what we do while we're still at the house, man, we educate everybody about the snakes. We talk about, whatever, I don't want to say most of the time, a lot of times we get like rat snakes and things like that. We sit there and we talk about how the comparison will compare those snakes to venomous snakes. We'll just sit there and educate the people about the snake while we're there in the home. And then we don't keep everything that we catch. We do hold a lot back because we do so many educational presentations. If you use the same snake over and over and over, it just kind of stresses that snake out. So we just kind of like to rotate our snakes in and out. And also we work on movie sets. And so a lot of times calling us up for snakes for movies and stuff. And man, I have no idea. Sometimes, man, like last year, twice, I still haven't even gotten all my snakes back from last year, man. They called us for so many movies, man. Sometimes they'll call us up and they'll say, "Hey man, we need like 20 snakes." And sometimes I'll send them like 20 rat snakes, man, just for these movies. And half the time I don't even know what they're filming for, man. So we don't hold everything back, but we do hold a pretty good chunk back, man, because we do so many different things with the snakes, man. So
that's great. I love it because, like I was watching one of your videos and one of the things you said is that everybody knows I have snakes, so they call me. And it's just one thing turned into another. And it's the same thing here, except for the fact that, like, for instance, somebody found a pretty good sized female ball python behind a grocery store. And I'm not on Facebook, but I used to be. And I can't tell you how many people tagged me. Gary, you got to get this. You got to get involved with this, right? So how many calls do you get yearly? Let's say per year, if that you've been doing this. How many times you find yourself in people's houses removing something that they don't want in there?
Yeah, a lot, man, a lot. Honestly, I have to, because of my insurance. I keep insurance on everything, man, because of the snakes and everything. I have to have insurance, and so I have to keep records of all my calls. But honestly, man, I have not counted. But I'm not. I really don't think I'm exaggerating when I say several hundred per year, man. There's times when there's 4, 5, or 6 calls in a day, and I'm just running back and forth all day, man. And even this year and last year, man, I thought, I usually use the winter time to kind of regroup and update and do different things and think, okay, well, let's learn from last year and let's do things differently this next year. These last 2 winters, man, it's been nonstop. I'm still getting calls during the winter times, man. So, man, it's nonstop, man. And then also, I don't want to kind of jump ahead a little bit, man, but some people may not know that I'm also a firefighter and advanced EMT. And my schedule's really weird, man. I work half days and half nights a lot of times. And even when I'm working nights, a lot of times I'm still getting snake calls during the day. And so there's a lot of times, man, I'm up 2, 3, 4 days in a row, man, with hardly any sleep. And but it's a passion that I have, man. I want to help these people, and it's not just about the snakes for me. It's not just I care more about the animals than I do the people kind of thing, Right. It's about both, and I feel because of our mission statement, because I want to eliminate that fear, bring people peace, and help these people out. If I feel like I let not just myself down, but I feel like I let everybody else down if I don't go on that call. And so, man, it's I'm not trying to brag or boast or make it more than something different than what it's not, you know what I mean? But I'm just so passionate about it, and I want to help these people and these animals, man, that it's almost like a calling, you know what I mean? And I feel bad if I don't help these people out, man. So yeah, I mean, I get several hundred calls a year, and I do my best, man. I really do my best.
Yeah, you can feel the passion, man. We
Yeah.
are a separate breed of people, so to say. I mean, you've got people that love cats, love dogs. When you have people that love reptiles, we identify with each other. You know, if somebody's wearing a cat shirt in a grocery store, people that own cats are going to come up to that person and say, "Hey, that's you own cats, right on, right?" But when you see somebody with a snake shirt on, you're apt to turn around, stop, say, "Hey, you have reptiles," and then the conversation starts, and there's this identification process that takes place. So there's a passion, man, and I can feel your passion. So I guess like when you're out and you're first of all, thank you for being a first responder. My wife is a RN in an ER, so I know all about, and personally we live up here in the foothills, so I've actually been on, you guys go through a lot. You're the first person on an accident, whether you're a firefighter or advanced EMT, like you're talking about. So when you're on your job and you get a call and they say that it's quiet, you're not fighting a fire, you're at the, I'm assuming you drive an ambulance. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but so it's a quiet night. Somebody calls Steve and says, "Hey man, we got a snake in our living room. Can you come get it?" Do you bring like some of the guys down and say, "Hey, let's go get rid of this thing"?
Yeah. Okay. So there's two different things with that one, man. Sometimes I can't. It depends. If I don't know where to start, man. One cool thing. Let me say it like this. One really cool thing is, because I do what I do, and most other people don't want to deal with snakes. For those people calling about snakes, for them, and it's an emergency. For us, it's just like, oh, it's just but for them, it's actually an emergency. There's a lot of people that call 911 for snakes. Well, because I'm a first responder, I've got to hook up with other fire stations, the police department, the sheriff's department, things like that. And so a lot of times it's the 911 dispatcher, whoever's working, sometimes instead of calling the cops or the other firefighters, they're going to call me directly. And so that's one really cool thing, is I've been able to hook up with so many different people, and so many different people know me. They'll just call me directly. And there have been several times that I can't leave work to go on a snake call. And my wife has been real supportive with that, man. And I could sit here all day and tell you crazy stories about my wife and kids going to get the snakes, man. And it always freaks people out, man. You see this big giant 6-foot rat snake, and one of my kids walks over there and picks it up in front of everybody, man. Freaks everybody out, man. So it's funny to have my wife and kids help me out at the same time, though. I think it helps those people overcome their fears even more when they see a little kid pick up a snake. They're like, you know what? Wait a minute. This isn't really something to get freaked out over, and I think it helps calm those people down at the same time. So it's funny. I like talking about those stories. Like, I've got one story. It was right at midnight, man. And I was working nights that night. I couldn't leave the station. And so I called my wife, and she went. It was actually at the city jail. And so my wife went, and in front of everybody, it was right there in front of all the cells. And so all the people are looking through their doors and watching my wife walk in and pick up the snake in front of everybody. Dude, freaked everybody out. So it's hilarious, man. I love that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it also, I think it helps. It helps with our mission to eliminate that fear, when you see my wife or kids go and grab that snake in front of everybody. So
there's something to be said about that. When there's a ton. I mean, I've got a lot of friends on Instagram, females who are reptile owners. There's something to be said when you've got a crowd of people that have no education or knowledge about a snake, and they see either a woman or a child handling a snake. I take my snakes out to the park every once in a while when it's nice, and my 11-year-old granddaughter, she'll be handling a 6-foot boa constrictor. Yeah. And everybody's just in awe, right? And what it does is it draws the attention and the curiosity. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because people are like, oh my God, I'm afraid of that. But they see this little child holding it. So the first thing okay, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. Yep. And it draws people in. And then it allows us to give that educational, stance on, hey, they are long and they are big, but they're not as scary and misinformed as people have presented them to be over the years. Yeah. What are your most memorable experiences?
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you two stories. One, the first story really defines Steves Snaketuary. And then one's almost the same story, but it's different. So I'll tell at least two stories at least. Man, I can tell you stories all day, but I'll tell you at least one. We got a call, and I was actually I wasn't working that day, but this was like years and years ago when we had pagers at the fire station, and the page came across as 8-year-old girl got bit by a snake. And so I rushed over there. By the time I got there, they had already had the medic had her in the back of the ambulance. They had killed the snake. It was a copperhead. They had it in a jar, and the medic on duty had looked at me and he said, "That's a copperhead, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I would not have known that if I hadn't watched your videos. But because I watched your videos, I was able to identify the snake, and I was able to call the hospital, and they're getting everything ready for us when we get there." And of course, the girl's foot was swollen. Her ankle was swollen. By the time we got there, it's up half of her calf, almost to her knee, swollen. But this little girl was as calm as could be. She was just laying there, letting us do whatever we needed to do. And that really helps define what Steves Snaketuary is about. Because that medic had been watching my videos, I was able to educate him. And, so he was able to help that girl. And that's something that some people don't know, is that the anti-venom, you can't just draw it up and shoot it in. It's 2 parts, and you actually have to mix it. And you can't just shake it up. You kind of have to slowly mix it like this. And so that gave the hospital time to get things ready. So when they arrived with the girl, everything would be ready. And then a couple of months later, there was a older lady, man. I don't want to throw the age out, man. I say, oh, she was older than me. Let me say that. And I don't know why she was in her garden at 11 o'clock at night. That's still bad. So, but she got
looking for snakes.
Yeah, but she got bit by a copperhead. Almost the same thing. She was barefooted, got bit on her foot. Her foot and ankle were swollen. Same thing. By the time we got to the hospital, it was all the way almost, up to her knee, almost over halfway up her calf. And this lady was the opposite of that girl, though. She was completely freaking out. She was screaming. She wouldn't sit still. And I use that, especially when I'm teaching medics, is sorry, I got a call, man. That didn't cut off, did it? I declined that call. Okay, making sure. Sorry about that call. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to log back in. But this lady wouldn't. She was just freaking out, and she wouldn't sit still, wouldn't let us do anything. And I use that when I teach for medics, because I go into I tailor my presentations to who I'm talking to. And so if I'm talking to kids, I'll talk more about the pet side of it. If I'm talking to medics and first responders, I go into more of the snake bites and how to treat them and things like that.
First aid part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so this lady was freaking out. And of course, I don't have to go into a lot of details, but as an EMT, I understand how the body works. And this lady, that could have caused her a lot more problems because she wasn't calm, because the heart and the lungs, the way they work together and things like that. So those are two very memorable stories. Like I said, the one where my wife had to go to the city jail in front of everybody and get a rat snake. Man, like I said, I'll tell you one more. Okay, you want me to tell you one more? Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
There was one. We were on our way to a wedding, dressed up real nice, dude, and I mean, decked out, right? On the way to a wedding, call came across snake in the house. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man. And I knew nobody else wanted to deal with it. So I was like, well, we got to go. We're just going to be late for the wedding. So we go, and I don't know. They must have had a block party at this house, man. I don't know. There were people everywhere at this house, man. And they had the fire truck out there. They had the ambulance out there, man. They had, I think the captain's truck was out there, man. They had everybody. And there were tons of people at this house. So there, I walk in, and they're all like a big semicircle around the kitchen sink. And I swear, dude, they had axes and like knives and shovels. They had all this stuff. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And I walk in, they said, oh, it's right over there. It's right over there. And so I look under the sink. I'm not seeing anything. I pull out all the drawers, not seeing anything, man. I open up all the other cabinets, and they were like, it's in there. It's in there. And I said, look, and I don't know how long I was in there looking. 45 minutes maybe. And I said, look, I'm late for a wedding. I got to go. And they said, you're not leaving this house until you find that snake. So I said, okay. And so one of the dudes leaves. He goes outside. He gets a little sawzall. He makes 2 cuts. In the bottom of your cabinets, you've got like the floor of the cabinet, and then you got that space before the floor, right? So he makes 2 cuts under the sink in the floorboard of the cabinet. And he dropped the sawzall, jumped back. And he goes, oh my God, there it is, there it is, there it is. And I walk in, and it's a good sized rat snake. I mean, it's a good sized rat snake. It was 6 feet. It had to be 6 feet. And I pull it out, man. Now, when I pull it out, everybody wants to hold it and take pictures and everything else. So,
uh-oh. You're frozen. Wait for you to come back here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we were late for the wedding. So all I had was I usually carry things in my vehicle in case I find a snake. So I had a pillowcase. I put it in the pillowcase, tied up the pillowcase, and I sat there the whole time during the wedding with this snake in my lap.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, thankfully nobody asked what it was. They probably thought it was a gift, but I don't know. Thankfully nobody asked what it was. So, but I had to sit there the big rat snake in my lap during the wedding. So
that is awesome. I have a similar story. You know, I this was during COVID. It was Halloween night. It was really warm, really warm. My daughter and my grandkids, they hit me up and said, "Hey, Dad, you go trick or treating with us?" I said, "All right, okay, I'll go." So I take my call albino boa constrictor with me, and this is in regards to pictures, right? So we go to this restaurant, and you know, it's warm. I really don't want to leave the snake in the car, but I asked the restaurant. I said, "Do you guys mind if I bring my snake in?" They said, "Well, you can in the seated patio area. You can bring your snake over there." I said, "Awesome." So we were sitting down, and long story short, there's this girl next to us, and she gets up. She sees the snake. She's got my snake for 15 minutes and taking like all sorts of selfies with my snake around her neck. Probably 150 pictures on Instagram and Facebook with my snake, you know, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, we want to go now, you know. There's just a couple more pictures, you know. But it's amazing. People will do that, you know. They young, old alike. If they can walk past that initial, I don't want to be around it. Oh my God, I'm next to it. Hey, can I get a picture with it?
Yeah.
I love it. I love being part of that process with people. So I want to talk about your mission statement, man. I love that. Experience through eliminate fear through education and bring peace through rescue. Yeah. It's great. It's so simple. It's very understandable and very achievable. And I noticed that you do educational shows. Now this is obviously pre-COVID. How many educational shows do you think you're doing a year?
That's increased dramatically the last couple of years, actually. Last year we had there were 2 different library branches that contain multiple libraries each that called me up. So we were doing all during last summer. We were doing, man, it was a presentation every other day. And it's gearing up this year. My calendar's already filling up this year. We even had 2 other library branches this year contact us with multiple libraries. So we do library, almost any event that will allow us to come and bring snakes, we do. There's like I said, we do libraries. We've got homeschool groups calling us up, man, wanting to come over. We've done Boy Scout groups. Like I said, the first responder groups, man, that's increased dramatically the last couple of years. So as far as how many a year, I'm not really sure, man. I'd have to go back and count them all up, man, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I'm also assuming that I do the same thing. Although I haven't done any post-COVID, but I've gone out and I've done, you know, like daycares are calling me up, schools are calling me up, the fairgrounds are calling me up for their kids expos. And mine are just, you know, locality boa constrictors, your pets. I'm assuming you're probably taking in your local species along with possibly pets and educating even further past Hey, you can go ahead and touch her. She's fine. She's not going to bite you. You can get over your fear. This is what you might find in your front yard.
Yes. Yeah. We take almost every presentation we do, we always take local snakes. And then I got another call. That didn't mess us up, did it?
No,
okay.
No, you're good.
That was actually animal control. So that's probably a snake right there. So yeah. So they're just gonna have to wait. So yes, almost every presentation I do, I always take local snakes. And it's gonna depend on how long they want the presentation. And again, like I said, I'm gonna tailor my presentation to who we're talking to. So if I'm talking to kids, like if we're going to a library and we're talking to kids, I'm going to take several local snakes, and then I'll take some boas and pythons and talk about the differences and talk about the pet side of it. If I'm doing them for first responders, for police officers, for animal control even, or, the EMTs and stuff, what I'll do is I'll take a lot of local snakes. I may or may not take the boas and pythons, but I take all the venomous snakes for those too. And one really good thing that I do for the first responders is I'll take at least one of my cobras. And the reason I do that is because I need to say this too. I need to make sure everybody understands. I've got all my permits through animal control and through wildlife and fisheries to keep the venomous and the constrictors over 8 feet. But I know people that don't. I know people that do it illegally. And so I take at least one of my cobras for those, because I tell them, look, I do everything legally. I do everything the right way, but there's people out there that don't. And there may be one of those calls that I can't go on. And so if you respond to a call, you need to be ready for anything, because there's people out there that do this. And so it's going to depend talking to and how long the presentation is. I may, and I tell them too, because I've got a pamphlet that shows all the local snakes here in Louisiana. And I'll show them that pamphlet. And I'll say, look, if I brought every one of these snakes, we'd be here all day long, And I take most of the most common ones and talk about the most common ones. So it kind of all depends. And then like for a birthday party, I'm not going to take as many for that either, And then like for a birthday party, I'll probably take like a bearded dragon or one of the other lizards, maybe a tortoise, and talk like that too. So it's going to depend on the presentation and what they're looking for.
So in your first responder experience, have you ever come across a snake bite from a keeper that had illegal venomous snakes?
No, actually, no. I've never had one like that. All the snake bite calls that I've gotten are people that were just out in their yard that got bit, or we actually had one. There was a truck driver who was carrying some logs, and he unbind. There goes another snake call right there. He went to. That's 3 since I've been on this deal with you, man.
I know. I'm starting to feel bad.
So I'll tell him, look, man, I was doing a podcast, or I was doing a video with a famous person. You're just gonna have to chill out, man. Look, man, but we had a call. There was a truck driver that was carrying some logs, and he was unbinding some logs, and there was a snake in the middle of the logs, and it was in the middle of the night. We couldn't find the snake, so we don't know what kind of snake it was. But for us here, you're gonna treat almost every snake bite the same. The crow fab that we have here is going to cover all of the water moccasins, the copperheads, and rattlesnakes that we have. The only one that's different is going to be the coral snake, because it's a neurotoxic venom. It's going to be a different antivenom, of course, and so they're going to treat that different. But most all the other ones are going to. It kind of doesn't matter. And I tell people, you don't have to take the snake to the emergency room with you. I've gotten those kind of calls where the emergency room at one of the hospitals has called me because they brought the live snake in with them. And so I've had to rush over there and get the snake from the emergency department. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Take a picture. I
did that one time myself, and the ER called me down to remove a snake here locally. Wow. It was just I think it was a little garter snake, or a little gopher snake. It was a gopher snake, but nonetheless, they called me to come remove it. But go ahead.
Right.
Wait. There was the fourth one.
Yeah, that's the fourth one. So yeah. So yeah, man, I want to, let me say this, man. I want to throw this out. It's like I said, I don't want to jump ahead, but we were talking about stories. So we're both musicians. We both play guitar. So I got to tell you two things, man. I don't want to forget to tell you these two things, man. So last year we have a GeekCon that comes every year, which is like a Comic-Con convention type deal. Several years ago, the people that put on the Comic-Con, actually the GeekCon, called me because they wanted me to start bringing tables, set up a table with the snakes. Cool deal, man. So we've been doing it for like the last couple of years. So last year, I'm not supposed to take the snakes out when I'm there. I'm supposed to leave them locked in cages. So they have this, it's like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that Saturday, it was that Sunday, they have like they'll open the doors an hour early for the VIP people, right? So before the VIP opens, my wife and I, we took out an albino ball python, walking around with it, and we're putting our business cards on everybody's table, right? And so then the VIP, all the famous people, because they bring in actors and all these different people to come sign autographs and take pictures and stuff. And so we're kind of over in that area while they start showing up. And so the first person shows, so we're walking around, and I told my wife, I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the table, make sure we got everything in order before everything sets up. So I go back to the table. She calls me and she says, hey, so-and-so is over here. I think it was the dude from Practical and Jokers, whatever that show is, Practical Jokers, whatever it is. So she goes, he wants some pictures with the snakes. Can you come back over? So I rush back over there. So we're over there and we get our picture with him. Then all the other famous people start showing up almost in a line. So then the next person sees the snake. They want pictures with it. Then the next person sees it. They want pictures. So we're going down the line. Now, that's at the same time that the VIP people are showing up. So all the people coming to the GeekCon are showing up. Everybody's wanting to get pictures with the snakes. So I look down the line, and Alice Cooper's down. He's the last one in the line. And I was like, oh my God, let this happen. I got to meet Alice Cooper. Right. And I'm getting nervous. I get nervous when those kind of things happen, man. So I'm looking down the line and I see like a line forming to meet him. And then they all get done. Then another line, then they get done. And I'm kind of looking out the corner of my eye, right, while I'm taking pictures with all these people. And I'm getting freaked out because I'm like, I want to hurry up and get down there. I want to meet him, and so I think it was like the booth right before him was this actress named Scout. I can't remember her name. I got pictures with her, but Scout something. And so we're hanging out with her and she's getting pictures. And like, I didn't realize it. It took me a second. This dude walked up behind me right here on my left side. And I didn't realize what it was until I kind of turned, and Alice Cooper was right there. And so he had left his booth to come around. He saw the snake and left his booth. There were people in line to see him, to meet him. And He left his booth to come meet us. And so he got pictures with us, man, was hanging out. He was one of the coolest dudes ever, man, sitting there talking to us and hanging out with us. So he said that he had an albino snake. I don't remember what kind of snake he used to have, but it was an albino and he named it Popcorn. And so
Burmese python.
Yeah. So he affectionately he named our albino ball python Popcorn. So that one's Popcorn. We've had some people want to buy it from us, and I'm like, sorry, no, that's Alice Cooper. So,
that's awesome. That is very awesome.
Well, it gets even cooler than that, though, man. We're taking pictures. We're like, hey, man, our kids went to church, and they're not here yet. He goes, I'll tell you what, whenever they show up, just come back over, and I'll get some more pictures with you. And so, we're at the booth. Once they finally show up, I said, go ahead and go down there, make sure he's available. And so my wife calls me. She goes, hey, go ahead. Bring the snake. Well, here's the thing, too. I had gotten in trouble. The people that own the convention center got onto the people that did GeekCon, said, hey, we can't have that snake out. I said, hang on a minute. So they came up to me and I'm like, look, first of all, I had to add GeekCon and the convention center on my insurance paperwork. Everything's covered. There's no problem. They're like, no, we can't do it. I said, what about all the service dogs walking around? You got all these service dogs walking around. What's the deal? No, you can't do it. You can't do it. Well, when my wife called me about Alice Cooper, I called up the people at GeekCon. I said, hey, Alice Cooper wants a picture with a snake. What are you going to do? And so they were like, okay, if Alice Cooper wants a picture with a snake, then okay. And so I got to take the snake back down there and got more pictures with him. And then his manager or whoever it was said it was okay for me to give my hot sauce to him. So Alice Cooper's got my hot sauce too.
That's awesome. I think I read that part of it in one of your posts, or somebody had been commenting. I was somebody tagged me in the post about, I think it was about who's the next one to get your hot sauce. And I was going through all the comments and I saw Alice Cooper was in there. That is an awesome story. That is I've never met him. I have friends that met Alice Cooper, but I've never met him. So you play guitar?
Yes.
Are you in a band, or are you just
not currently, no. I've been in several bands, man, and but not currently, no. That was the other thing. I want to mention this to you too, man. I'm friends with Clank, and he messaged me the other day. I think when I had posted your deal, he messaged me and said that he's friends with your singer.
Yeah.
And he actually toured with your singer. So I thought that was really cool too, man. I was like, wow, here I am, friends with Clank, and now like I hooked up with you, and now we have a common friend, kind of thing. So I thought that was really awesome. So
the music industry, music and reptiles.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I've been playing guitar for a long time, very long time, man. I've got a whole room in our house with amps and guitars and pedals and everything, man. And I've got a little 16-track recorder that, little digital recorder that I use. And so yeah, man, I'm into that too, man.
That's a whole different video, man. Because we are in my recording studio as we speak. Usually I do my videos in the reptile room, but grandkids sleeping and everything, I came back here. I got my Mesa sitting right back here. I'm actually an Ibanez endorsed artist. So yeah. The running joke is do I have as many guitars as I do snakes?
Right. Yeah, people always ask me about about how much it costs to feed all of my snakes, and I jokingly tell them it's probably not as much as I have in guitar equipment. So it's both of them are they can both get quite
the strings and everything else that it's it can actually wash itself out between the two of them, between the maintenance on the guitars and the feeding of the snakes, for sure.
Yeah.
So I got in Louisiana, obviously you guys are subject to hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have the same type of invasive species problem where you've got breeder facilities that get destroyed by the hurricanes and then the snakes get out? And then you've got like the Burmese problem that they have in Florida. Do you guys have anything like that there in Louisiana?
No, most of the time, man. And honestly, where I am, I'm actually in the north part of Louisiana. And so when we have the hurricanes down south, it really doesn't, we just get rain. That's about it where we are. But it's all the problems down south. Most of the time it'll wash out all the water moccasins. That's what they really have problems with, is all the water moccasins. But everything else, no, we don't have the Burmese problem. We did I'll throw this out there, man. We had, I don't know how much you want to get into it. We don't have to talk about it too much, but I'm kind of upset about the whole Burmese problem in Florida. I think there should be a better way. They can come up with a better way on dealing with that. I don't think they need to kill them all, man. I kind of disagree with all that. But there was a show called Rodents of Unusual Size. And the guy that did that movie actually came here when they premiered it here. And it was talking about the nutria rat in South Louisiana. And I asked him, I said, why don't they kind of solve two problems at once? Kill two birds with one stone, get all the Burmese pythons from Florida, bring them down here, because the nutria rat is actually an invasive species here. Bring all the Burmese pythons from Florida and let them eat all the nutria rat down here, and then call me to come get the snakes. You're solving several problems at once, and He didn't really answer for that. But we don't, the nutria rat is the biggest problem. We don't have a problem with the snakes like they do in Florida, man. So I kind of I don't want to say I wish we did, but I kind of wish we did, because then they'd call me to come get them. But then I would probably feel bad because they'd probably want me to euthanize them all. And I just, I don't think that's the right way to do it. That's my opinion. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think there's a better way to do all that.
Well, rehoming animals to me is the best way, whether it's, you're dealing with an invasive species in Florida, or you got somebody who just purchased a snake and realized it's going to get too big, and they don't know what to do with it, which then presents another problem, because you get somebody's pet snake running around and people getting freaked out. And it's either one of two problems. Either they weren't responsible enough to keep it locked up, or they realized it was going to get too big. And that's kind of something that I went through yesterday. I picked up a reticulated python yesterday. And there's several different scenarios, and I'm kind of clinging to one. I'm not really a judgmental person. I like to think that, people are honest and they're pretty straight up, unless they give me a reason to not believe they are. And this family I met yesterday, they seem pretty solid. So I got a couple of avenues to check. But what I believe is that they sold me a snake that it wasn't what they purchased. They made a trade somewhere down the line and got themselves into a problem where they live in this little apartment, and it's too big for that apartment, or it will be too big for that apartment in due time. And then I picked it up, and now I want to do the same thing with it. Well, I don't want a 16-foot reticulated python, but I'll tell you what, you handle that thing for 30 minutes, she'll change your mind. She'll change your mind. She is the sweetest snake in my collection right now. Quarantine, doesn't matter. I've had her for less than 24 hours. She is just a big sweetheart. And I look at her, I'm like, you're not going anywhere. I will learn to deal with it.
Well, I had kind of a similar call. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. A lady had called me. I want to say it was probably 2 years ago when she first called me. She said, I bought the snake at a there we go again. There's animal control right there.
They want you.
So that's 5 calls, man. So you asked me how many calls I get. There's 5 calls, and I think it's like 30 degrees outside here, man. So, that doesn't really do anything here. So anyway, a couple of years ago, I think it was a couple of years ago when she first called me, she said, I got the snake, it's not eating. And she said, I bought it at a reptile show. I think here's part of the problem that people have too, man, is they'll go to a reptile show. Now, this lady went and she told the guy, I want a ball python. And he said, okay, I've got the perfect snake for you. So I get over there because she said, I need help feeding it. I get over to her apartment, and I said, that's not a ball python. He had sold her a reticulated python. And I said, do you know anything about the snake? She goes, no. And I said, that's a reticulated python. And it can get over 20 feet. And she goes, oh my God. She started freaking out. And so I ended up, she said, well, I don't want it. It's not eating. Well, so what I did was I went home, I got a ball python, and I traded her the ball python for the retic. And I think that could be part of the problem too, is you get somebody who wants a snake, and they either go to a pet store and they see them, as babies, real cute. They fit in the palm of your hand, and they're like, oh, this is going to be perfect. And they don't realize it's going to get 3, 4, 5 feet long.
Right.
Or they go to a reptile show and they tell somebody they want something, and then that person, and I don't know who it was. I don't know what vendor it was, but you get a vendor who's just there for the money, and they sell them something, and something that person really does not need, And I think that kind of factors into all the problems that we have going on anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. So, and I think that could be the same, that last scenario could be what happened here. These guys, they probably didn't know what they got. They called it a 50% Calatoa. And I've had a 75% Calatoa. So I know what they look like. And it didn't look like a Calatoa at all.
Yeah.
It looks like a Bally.
Yeah.
So we're not sure yet. But I'm still under the assumption that either A, the breeder sold them something that wasn't what they said they sold it as.
Yeah.
B, they somehow along, Calatoas can be a bit nippy and defensive, when they're, especially as youngsters. I was wearing a big denim jacket and leather gloves. to get over my fear with her. And once I got over it, she's a sweetheart now, man. She's a sweetheart. I love her to death, but I had to get through that fear. Now, somebody who doesn't have that willingness, they might trade it off to somebody for a big, sweet snake that at the time seems really cozy and fun to play with until they realize this thing's going to get 20 feet long.
Yep.
What am I going to do with it? We can't do that. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. That could be scenario number 2. Yeah. So I really don't know. They seem like a really nice couple. So I don't like playing the judgment card. I don't want to judge on the breeder. I don't want to judge on the couple. I think right now what I'm going to do is just kind of level it out, leave it alone, and be grateful for what I got and the ability to be able to give her a new home.
Yeah.
Hopefully a forever home,
Yeah.
But let me see here. I got a couple questions here. You talked about rescues, right? And you've talked about going in as a first responder. And have you ever had anything go wrong? That you go into somebody's house and it's a snake and it's like a big venomous snake. And now let's say you're doing it as Steves Snaketuary, and have you ever been bit? Has anything ever gone sideways doing something like that?
I will say this. I do have now, they don't say they're bite proof gloves. The Venom Defender gloves, they say they're bite resistant. So if it's venomous, I'm always using those, and I'm always using my hooks and tongs. I did get called out for a rattlesnake at a lady's house, and come to find out the rattlesnake was gravid, like the next after I got had babies. So that was cool. As far as going wrong, I'm not sure. I don't know if my answer to that question would be exactly what you're looking for. As far as something going wrong with the snake, as far as like the rat snakes, I get bit all the time. And sometimes I actually do that on purpose. I let the snake bite me on purpose to show people that it's nothing to really get concerned over. But I have crawled through attics that are well over 100 degrees, and they've put the mothballs everywhere. As far as going for me personally, that's not good for me. I hate smelling mothballs, but when they're in an attic that's well over 100 degrees, that's not cool. It's very hard to breathe.
Right.
There's been several times when I can't find snakes. I'll be over there for 2 hours and I can't find the snake. That kind of, for me, that's going wrong, because I can't help that person out. But as far as like getting bit by a venomous snake, or the snake biting the other person, or not really, I don't want to say it going wrong like that. No. There's been several times, I've got calls out for snakes in cars before and I can't find them. One guy said, that's it, I'm leaving my car here and I'm going to call somebody tomorrow. I'm selling it tomorrow and I'm going to make them pick up the car. I've had that before. So, I've had people call me, and because I couldn't find the snake, they said that they're selling their house. That's it. They're moving. So those, in my opinion, those are calls that went wrong. But as far as something happening with the snake, I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's fair. That's good.
Yeah.
So you've gotten 5 calls. So we'll start to wind this thing down a little bit.
Yeah.
My next question is are you a US ARC member?
Yes, I am. I haven't. I want to actually put it under. I want to go up some levels. But as far as doing the business side of it, but of course that costs more money. So yeah, I'm at one of the lower tiers. But yes, I am.
I'm a bronze member myself. And I follow US ARC. There's people that I know that actually get to work directly as like sitting in their booths and helping out, which if I was localer, is that a word? Localer? If I was local to a reptile expo and I had better access, I might involve myself in something like that too. But being a bronze member, they give me all the emails. I get to follow stuff, and I do my due diligence with donations and things like that. So this is where we get to play a game called Fact or Fiction. And what we're going to do, because you have Steves Snaketuary, so I'm assuming that, you know, donations are a big thing for you to keep your business running. Costs money to feed your snakes, costs money to heat your snakes, costs money to do education shows, do all that good stuff. So I have 5 questions. You're going to answer fact or fiction. So usually I just do it if it's in another country, I ask, hey, where do you guys have anything like US Ark? I donate to that. In this case, since you've got Steves Snaketuary, I'm going to give you the choice. It's 5 questions and $5 for each question you get right. So the donation, would you like to go to US Ark or Steves Snaketuary?
All right.
Your choice. What would you like?
Do what? Can we split it? Can we do half and half? Yeah, let's do half.
All right. Okay, so this is fact or fiction. Please remember, my answers come from the internet, and the internet is always correct. All right, first question, fact or fiction. A snake will sunburn if it's out in the sun for too long.
Sunburn? How technical do you want to get with that one?
Fact or fiction?
Oh, that's a trick question, man. Because you have people that use hot rocks, and snakes will actually burn on those hot rocks.
So this is out in the sun. If they're out in the sun, let's say you take your pet boa constrictor, it's 106 degrees, and you take it to the lake. A snake will sunburn out in the sun for too long. Fact or fiction?
Man, that's a tough one. Man, I don't know how to answer that one. I want to say, I want it. Now, are you talking about your pet snake, or are you talking about a wild snake, man?
Well, it could be a wild snake. It could be a snake that doesn't know any better. It's sitting on a rock. It's getting some sun. And next thing you know, it's looking for suntan lotion.
It get cooked. It can get cooked. So, yes, fact. I'm gonna, but hesitantly say fact, because that's a trick.
Well, that is fiction. And I actually looked this up a long time ago because I take my snakes out. But a snake's scales is actually protectant. It protects them from UV rays, so they cannot get sunburned.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, see, okay, I got you. I knew a snake would cook if it was out there too long.
Right.
But sunburn. See, that's okay. So, all right. That's okay. Go ahead. All right, we're good.
Question number 2, fact or fiction? The reticulated python is considered to be the heaviest reptile. Fact or fiction?
The heaviest? No. The reticulated python is the longest, but not the heaviest.
You are correct. There's $5. $2.50 to US Ark and $2.50 to Steves Snaketuary. All right. So number 3, of all living reptiles, the tortoise has the longest lifespan. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
That is correct. $5 to Steves Snaketuary and $5 to US Ark. All right. Question number 4. October 21st is Reptile Awareness Day. Fact or fiction?
Oh man, why do you got to do that one? I don't remember the day on that one. Oh my gosh. The date. Yes, that's true.
That is true. Yes. Yeah. So it's 752 Steves Snaketuary and 752 US Ark. All right. Final question. The Carolina Reaper is 2.4 million Scoville. Fact or fiction?
Oh, I don't remember the Scoville on it.
While he's thinking, everybody, this stuff right here, it's some good stuff. I'm a hot guy. I love hot sauce, but this has got great flavor as well as the heat. Check out Steves Snaketuary's. This is the I had to ask my wife, polyvalent anti-venom hot sauce.
Okay,
fact or fiction?
2.4 million Scovilles. I'm gonna say that's fact.
Fiction. 2.2 is kind of a trick question, but I'm gonna give it to you anyways. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give $20 to Steves Snaketuary, and we're gonna give $20 to US Ark in your name. Man, this has been a great interview. I really truly appreciate you taking the time out, missing 5 possible Steves Snaketuary calls to do this with us today.
Yeah, man, it's been a blast, man. I appreciate you contacting me about this, man, and like you said, man, we're gonna have to do another one. We're gonna have to do another one talking about music too, man. So it's been awesome, man. And I think we have so many things in common, man. I think it's gonna be an awesome friendship, man. It's gonna turn into something great, man. And I'm glad we got to hook up together, and I appreciate the opportunity, man. So snakes, hot sauce, and rock and roll, man. I think we both got it going on, man. It's gonna be awesome.
That's it, man. That's life in a nutshell right there. Hey, everybody, I want to thank Steve again for coming in and joining us. I want to remind you that check out his Instagram, Steves Snaketuary. Check out his YouTube, Steves Snaketuary. Check out his website. I believe that's stevesnaketuary.com or snaketuary.com.
Yep. Yep.
Is there anything at the end of this interview today that you would love to let people watching this video know about reptiles? There's one thing you could convey. What is it?
Reptiles are the best animals ever, man. They're hypoallergenic. They're less maintenance than dogs and cats, man. They're something that everybody needs to get into. They're completely misunderstood animals, but once you get over your fear, man, they can be the best things you've ever experienced, man. So with Steves Snaketuary is out here, we're here to help you guys. And if you ever need us, you can always call us, email us, text us, any questions or comments you have, man. We'd love to hear from everybody.
Right on. Steve, thanks again for joining us. Everybody, thank you for tuning in and watching this episode, and we will see you again shortly.